It doesn't hit her when you leave. It doesn't hit her when she replaces you. It hits her when she sees you healed, without her. Because that's the one outcome she never prepared for. She expected your silence to be temporary. She thought your strength had limits. She believed that sooner or later the silence would break, that you'd reach back, that you'd still need her energy to feel whole again. But one day, she looks again, and what she sees doesn't make sense. You're not pretending. You're not posting out of spite. You're not chasing distractions. You're just different, peaceful, centered, calm in a way she's never seen before. That's when it hits. Not like a wave, but like gravity. A slow, pulling realization that you no longer orbit her world. That her validation no longer defines your worth. That you've learned to breathe again without her air. See, what most never understand is that detachment isn't a form of revenge. It's a rebirth. It's what happens when you finally choose yourself instead of trying to fix someone else. When you stop seeking closure from the same person who caused the wound. And that's what terrifies her most, that you healed in silence. Because silence means independence. Silence means control. Silence means she no longer has access to your emotions. The man she once knew, the one who tried to explain himself, prove himself, beg to be understood, he's gone. What stands in his place now is something unrecognizable, a man who no longer reacts, who no longer seeks, who no longer needs. That's the moment she realizes she didn't just lose your presence. She lost her reflection, the part of herself that felt powerful through your attention. And when that mirror disappears, she's left face to face with her own emptiness. You didn't heal to hurt her. You healed because you had to, because the pain forced you to rebuild, because there was no one left to save you but you. And now that growth has become her punishment, not through cruelty, but through contrast. Because there's nothing more haunting to someone who hurt you than seeing you become everything you were meant to be without them. So before we go deeper into what happens after this moment, into the way her ego begins to collapse under the weight of your peace, do this right now. Comment below, "My peace became my proof." Because in this story, healing isn't weakness, it's victory in silence. When she sees you healed, her ego doesn't know what to do with it. Because in her mind, she was the story's final chapter. She was supposed to be the one who decided when it ended, when you moved on, when you felt peace, when you stopped caring. But you did the one thing her ego could never predict. You stopped needing her completely. You didn't try to replace her. You didn't post to make her jealous. You didn't start a war of attention. You simply vanished into silence and thrived there. And that's where her control ended. See, the ego can handle anger. It can handle heartbreak. It can even handle being hated. But peace? Peace is something the ego can't compete with. Because peace means you've transcended the game. And once you stop playing, her sense of importance collapses. She starts to feel that quiet panic, the same kind you once felt when she pulled away. Now she's the one wondering, checking, replaying the past, asking questions she'll never admit out loud. Does he ever think about me? Was I really that replaceable? Why doesn't he care anymore? Because ego doesn't understand detachment. It feeds on reaction. And your silence is a famine. She refreshes your page expecting weakness, and instead she finds discipline. She sees your focus, your composure, your calm, and it unsettles her. You're not trying to prove anything, and yet everything about you proves something. That you grew, that you evolved, that her validation no longer fuels your worth. You see, when you were broken, she felt powerful. Your pain was her reassurance that she mattered. But when you healed, her significance evaporated. Because power doesn't come from being desired, It comes from being detached. Now, she's the one haunted by silence. She's the one living in the echo of what she thought she controlled. And that's when she finally realizes she didn't just lose you. She lost access to the version of herself that felt admired through you. Your calm became her chaos. Your distance became her mirror. And your healing became the one thing she can't stop thinking about. You didn't take revenge. You took away her control. You didn't lash out. You leveled up. And that's the kind of closure that doesn't need to be announced. If you've ever reached that stage, where silence made them question everything, comment below, "My calm is their confusion." Because nothing dismantles an ego faster than realizing you healed and never looked back. There's a stage of healing that few ever reach, the one where pain stops being personal and starts becoming fuel. That's where your transformation begins. You see, most men drown in heartbreak because they try to escape it. They chase distractions, quick fixes, new faces, temporary validation. But the Stoic, he does something different. He takes the pain, sits with it, and studies it like a teacher. He doesn't numb it, he refines it. You didn't run from the darkness. You walked straight through it. You faced the sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the haunting silence, and you built a version of yourself that no longer fears solitude. You trained your mind where others would have broken. You learned that silence isn't empty, it's the forge where the new you is shaped. Every morning you woke up tired, but still got up. Every night you wanted to reach out, but stayed silent. Every time your heart ached, you turned it into discipline. And day by day, the weakness burned away. What was left was sharper, cleaner, calmer. A man forged in patience and pain. That's the thing about transformation. It doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when you're desperate enough to evolve. When you realize no one is coming to save you. When you decide that self-respect will replace self-pity. You stopped needing closure from others because you started closing your own doors. You stopped looking for motivation and started building momentum. You stopped seeking peace and started creating it. And the world began to feel it. People noticed you moved differently. Your presence stopped being loud. It became felt. Your energy became still, yet powerful, like someone who has seen the fire and walked out of it untouched. This is what true transformation looks like. Not changing to impress, not healing to prove, but becoming the man you were supposed to be all along, the one she never had the patience to meet. While she was distracted trying to feel important, you were busy becoming disciplined. While she was seeking attention, you were building intention. While she was chasing pleasure, you were mastering peace. And now, when she finally looks at you again, she won't recognize what she's seeing. Because transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you really are, before the world taught you to beg for love. She thought she broke you, but she only revealed what was buried underneath. The warrior, the builder, the stoic. If you've ever turned heartbreak into growth, if you've ever taken the pain and turned it into power, comment below, "Pain made me powerful." Because transformation isn't about revenge, it's about evolution. And evolution is silent until the results start speaking for you. One day, she'll see you again. Maybe in person, maybe through a photo, maybe through a whisper from someone who's been watching your rise. And for a second, she won't recognize you. Not because your face changed, though the calm in your eyes will make you look like someone else entirely, but because your energy has shifted. You no longer carry that subtle desperation, that quiet need for her to see your worth. You walk differently now. You move differently. There's weight in your silence and peace in your presence. You used to radiate attachment. Now you radiate alignment. You used to seek validation. Now you exude purpose. You used to react. Now you simply observe, and in that moment, something deep inside her cracks, because she's staring at the proof that you healed without her, something her ego swore could never happen. She might smile, she might act like she's happy for you, but behind her composure, her mind is spinning. How did he change so much? Why does he seem so grounded? Does he even think about me anymore? That's the irony. She once had all your attention, but now she doesn't even have access to your emotion. Your peace is the one thing she can't touch. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to prove a point. You don't need to act distant or pretend to be unaffected, because true healing isn't performative. It's natural. And the man you are now doesn't need to fake detachment. He is detachment. The air between you feels different. You don't rush to fill the silence. You don't over-explain. You don't flinch when her name comes up. You've learned the most powerful form of communication is quiet presence. And she feels it. That calm, that stillness, that lack of emotional pull. It unsettles her because she remembers the man who once gave her the world, and now you give her nothing. And yet that nothing feels heavier than everything she's getting from anyone else. She'll wonder if you're seeing someone new. She'll try to read between your expressions, searching for any trace of the man who once adored her. But she won't find him, because that version of you was buried in the silence she took for granted. You're not being cold, you're being complete. You're not avoiding her, you've simply outgrown her frequency. And that's the ultimate shift. When your peace becomes the wall she can't climb, there's no anger left in you, no hidden desire to make her regret it. Just acceptance. Because you finally understand she wasn't meant to stay. She was meant to awaken the man who doesn't need anyone to stay. You are calm now, focused, self-contained. And your silence speaks the loudest truth of all. You healed in private, and that's why your power doesn't need to be proven. If you've ever stood in front of someone who once had your heart and felt absolutely nothing but peace, comment below, "Peace is my closure." Because that's what she'll see when she looks at you now. A man she can't control, can't define, can't forget. There comes a point where healing turns into power. It's not loud, it's not explosive, it's quiet, like a sunrise no one notices until the whole sky is glowing. That's the Stoic's victory. You see, most people mistake calm for weakness. They think silence means surrender. But silence is the mark of a man who has mastered his emotions, the man who no longer explains himself, defends himself, or justifies his growth, the man who has nothing left to prove. That's where you are now. The noise is gone. The need to react, gone. The craving to be understood, gone. All that's left is composure, unbreakable, unbothered, undeniable. And that's what makes your healing so powerful. You didn't win by destroying her image. You won by mastering your reflection. You turned pain into patience, chaos into clarity, heartbreak into hierarchy. Because here's the truth, the Stoic doesn't fight for control. He is control. He doesn't chase revenge. He embodies restraint. He doesn't wait for peace. He creates it. That's why she can't stop thinking about you. Not because you're unreachable, but because you've become untouchable. Your strength doesn't come from resistance. It comes from discipline. Your presence doesn't come from validation. It comes from vibration. You move like a man who knows who he is, and that unsettles anyone still searching for themselves. You no longer crave recognition because your results speak louder. The body, the focus, the composure, the peace, it all radiates without effort. People sense it. Even she does. Especially she does. Because she remembers when you were reactive, emotional, reachable. She remembers when her words could shake you, and now nothing moves you. You are still, you are calm, you are free. That's the Stoic's victory: freedom through control, peace through power, dominance through detachment. Not by suppressing emotion, but by mastering it. Not by becoming cold, but by becoming centered. This is what true strength looks like. The ability to walk away without anger. The discipline to say nothing when everything inside you once wanted to scream. The power to love deeply and yet not cling when it's gone. That's the quiet authority of the Stoic man. He doesn't need to be seen as strong. He is strength. He doesn't talk about his standards. He lives them. He doesn't chase love. He attracts peace. So when she sees you now, calm, healed, and at peace, she realizes that losing you wasn't just a heartbreak. It was karma. The kind that doesn't scream or punish, but teaches. You don't need to make her regret it. Life already will, because nothing haunts the past more than watching the man you underestimated become everything you said he'd never be. If you've reached this point, if your peace has become your victory, comment below, "My silence is my strength." Because true revenge isn't in reaction, it's in evolution. And evolution is the one thing no one can stop once it begins. There's a moment after healing where everything quietly reverses. The energy flips. The same dynamic that once left you powerless now tilts in your favor. Because when you were hurting, she felt control. Your emotions were predictable. Your reactions gave her reassurance. Every text, every glance, every silence that wasn't calm but wounded, those were confirmations that she still mattered. But once you healed, all of that changed. The emotional gravity shifted. Now you hold the center. She orbits around your silence, your peace, your indifference. That's how power works. It belongs to whoever needs less. And now you need nothing. You're no longer chasing validation, attention, or recognition. You've become self-sustaining, self-contained, self-defined. She feels it even if she doesn't say it. She can sense it in the way your eyes no longer reach for hers, in the way your presence doesn't tremble when she's near, in the way your peace doesn't react to her chaos. That's when the memories start haunting her, not because she misses the old you, but because she realizes the new you no longer misses her. You see, most people only understand their mistakes when silence answers them, and your silence is louder than any words ever could be. It tells her, you no longer have influence here. She'll start to wonder if you've met someone new, but deep down she knows that's not what changed you. It's not another woman, it's you. You became whole on your own. You filled your own voids. You became the man she only saw glimpses of when you were trying to please her. That realization cuts deeper than any argument ever could, because now she's witnessing a power she can't replicate or manipulate, peace that doesn't require her presence. This is the shift in power, when you no longer explain your worth, when you no longer perform your value, when you no longer attach your peace to anyone else's attention. Now you decide where your energy goes. You decide what deserves your response. You decide what earns your silence. And every time you withhold that energy from what doesn't serve you, you rise higher. She'll try to re-enter your life in small ways. A comment, a message, a memory. But you'll notice something. Her words no longer carry weight. They don't pull you back. They simply pass through your awareness like wind through an open field, noticed but irrelevant, because you've learned that power isn't about control, it's about detachment. The man who controls himself no longer fears loss, and the one who no longer fears loss can't be controlled by anyone. That's the final twist. The power she once thought she held was only yours, misplaced. If you've felt that shift, when peace replaced attachment and silence became dominance, comment below, I no longer chase, I attract. Because the moment you healed without her, you stopped revolving around her world. Now she revolves around the calm you built without her. In the beginning, she thought losing you was easy. She told herself she could replace you, that peace would come quickly, that you'd fade into memory just like everyone else. But time has a way of humbling illusions. Because absence has its own gravity. It pulls at the conscience. It whispers reminders. And over time, it teaches lessons no argument or apology ever could. The truth is, she expected your pain to validate her choice. She expected you to stay broken, to prove that walking away gave her power. But instead, you did something rare. You took the hit, stayed silent, and grew stronger in the dark. And when she finally sees the man you've become, she feels it in her chest. That deep, sinking feeling that she underestimated you, that she confused kindness for weakness, that she mistook calmness for complacency, that she walked away from a man who was still building himself while she was still seeking herself. That's the lesson your absence teaches. That peace cannot be replaced. That consistency cannot be faked. That loyalty cannot be bought. Because while she searched for comfort, you found clarity. While she sought attention, you built direction. While she entertained distractions, you elevated in silence. It's not about making her regret it. That's beneath you now. It's about showing, through your evolution, that no one who truly grows ever needs to prove a thing. Your peace shows her what words never could. She starts to remember the things she took for granted. Your patience, your protection, your steadiness, your focus. She starts to notice how rare that is in the world she chose, and it dawns on her that no one else carries the same energy. Because what she lost wasn't a person, it was presence. A man who didn't compete. A man who didn't beg. A man who gave, not to control, but to care. Now she understands that what she once called boring was actually peace. What she called predictable was loyalty. What she dismissed as too serious was maturity. That realization doesn't come all at once. It comes slowly, through small comparisons, through little disappointments, through moments where she thinks, he wouldn't have done that. And that's when your absence becomes her teacher. The irony is that she'll never tell you she learned the lesson. She'll never say, you were right. She'll never admit that your calm was the standard she now chases in others. But you'll know. You'll see it in her eyes if you ever cross paths again, that flicker of recognition, that silent awareness that she finally understands who you were all along. And that's when you'll realize something too. The lesson wasn't just for her, it was for you. To show you that your value was never dependent on being seen. It was revealed by being absent. If you've ever walked away from someone only to have your peace become their teacher, comment below. My absence taught the lesson. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send is your silence, wrapped in peace, carried by evolution. Once you've healed, once you've reclaimed your peace, something profound happens. You stop recognizing the version of yourself that used to settle, the man who tolerated inconsistency, who mistook potential for loyalty, who thought love was measured by how much you could endure. He's gone. In his place stands someone sharper, calmer, and harder to reach. Because healing changes your appetite. You no longer crave chaos disguised as passion. You no longer chase attention that feels temporary. You no longer confuse availability with value. You've raised your standard, not just for others, but for yourself. Your time has become sacred. Your energy has become selective. Your silence has become expensive. Now, you don't entertain what doesn't align with your peace. You can feel when someone brings noise. You can sense when a connection is draining instead of building. And without anger, without explanation, you just withdraw. That's what healing does. It teaches you to walk away sooner, not colder. To recognize red flags not as challenges to fix, but as warnings to honor. Because the healed man doesn't need to prove his patience anymore. He uses it wisely. People notice the difference. They can feel the boundary without you saying a word. There's weight in your calm, authority in your silence, certainty in your eyes. You've learned that you don't chase love, you filter it. You don't beg for attention, you command respect. You don't cling to the familiar, you choose the aligned. And here's the irony. The same qualities that once made you too much are now exactly what make you untouchable. Your depth, your discipline, your composure, they used to intimidate. Now they attract. Because when you stop seeking external validation, your entire energy shifts. You're not performing anymore. You're embodying. You're not asking for peace. You're living in it. And the kind of people who come near that vibration, they're different. They move with intention. They speak with clarity. They value the calm because they've earned it too. That's the new standard. It's not perfection. It's alignment. It's not having everything. It's protecting what matters. It's not building walls. It's guarding gates. You've learned to be alone without feeling lonely, and that's the most dangerous kind of strength. Because the man who enjoys his solitude is the man who can't be manipulated. He no longer needs company. He chooses it. So when someone new approaches, they don't meet the broken version. They meet the rebuilt one. The version of you that knows his worth, values his time, and treats his peace like a fortress. And if someone can't match that energy, you don't explain. You don't argue. You simply say to yourself, "Nope," and walk away. If you've reached that point where your peace has become your filter and your silence your standard, comment below. My peace sets the standard. Because the moment you start protecting your energy like treasure, you stop losing pieces of yourself to those who never deserved them. When a man heals, the world around him starts to shift. The energy he carries doesn't just stay within him, it spreads. It changes the tone of every room he walks into. It raises the frequency of every conversation he touches. That's the ripple effect of peace. Because healed energy is contagious. It doesn't need to preach, it simply exists. People feel it in your calm, your focus, your restraint. They can't quite explain it, but they sense something powerful, something grounded, something unshakable. You see, the world is filled with noise. Everyone is reacting, performing, proving, chasing validation. But when you move with calm precision, when you speak less and mean more, when you no longer let chaos dictate your behavior, you stand out like still water in a raging storm. Your peace becomes a mirror. It reflects people's inner turbulence back to them. Some will be drawn to it, seeking the steadiness they can't find in themselves. Others will be intimidated by it because your composure exposes their lack of control. Either way, your energy teaches without speaking. Men will start to ask you how you do it, how you stay calm when disrespected, how you keep moving when rejected, how you build without broadcasting it. And your answer will be simple: discipline. Because peace is not found, it's built. It's earned through self-control, through reflection, through 1,000 small choices that no one sees. Your silence starts inspiring others. Your patience starts humbling those who underestimated you. Your focus starts reminding others of what's possible when you stop reacting to everything that tries to provoke you. Even she, the one who once broke you, will feel that ripple, not through words, but through energy. Because every time your name crosses her mind, it carries a vibration she can't replicate: calm authority. The peace of a man who walked through fire and came out stainless. That's the irony. Your healing will reach people long after your presence is gone. Your detachment will teach lessons you never had to speak. You've become proof that pain, when refined by wisdom, transforms not just you, but everyone watching. This is why the Stoic path is sacred. It's not just self-mastery, it's leadership. It's the unspoken influence of a man who has nothing left to prove, but everything left to protect. Your peace becomes a gift. Your restraint becomes guidance. Your silence becomes example. You no longer change the world by force. You change it by frequency. If you've ever felt that shift, where your calm started influencing others, where your silence spoke louder than your words, comment below, "My peace leads by example." Because a man who has mastered himself doesn't just rise, he raises everything around him. And now, this is where the story ends. Not with revenge, not with regret, but with rebirth. Because when she sees you healed, when the world feels your stillness, when silence replaces reaction and peace replaces pride, something greater happens. You ascend. You've passed through the chaos, the heartbreak, the confusion. You've faced every emotion that tried to break you, and instead of letting it harden you, you let it forge you. The man who once chased now attracts. The man who once reacted now observes. The man who once needed understanding now lives beyond it. That's ascension, the final stage of the Stoic path. When nothing external has the power to disturb your internal balance, when you realize that everything they took from you was exactly what you needed to lose. When pain no longer defines you, it refines you. You don't crave attention anymore. You crave alignment. You don't seek control. You seek clarity. You don't chase approval. You chase purpose. You've become the calm others search for, the stillness that unsettles the chaotic, the discipline that the weak misunderstand. You don't need to prove your peace. It announces itself through the way you move. That's the ultimate form of strength, to be unmoved by praise or rejection, by noise or silence, to walk through the same world that once broke you, and this time not flinch. So when she looks at you now, she's not just seeing the man she lost, she's witnessing the man she never really knew, the one who found power in peace, confidence in composure, and redemption in restraint. And in that moment, she realizes she was a chapter. But you became the book. You've learned that the goal was never to be loved by the world, but to be at peace within it. That the victory was never proving them wrong, but proving yourself right. That the reward for surviving heartbreak is not another heart, it's a higher self. You've ascended from reaction to realization, from pain to presence, from need to knowing. And that's what makes your silence eternal. It's not empty anymore, it's enlightened. So take this moment, right now, and honor the man you became in the silence, the one who rebuilt, the one who evolved, the one who mastered himself. Comment below, "I rise in silence." Like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and join the brotherhood of men who've turned heartbreak into hierarchy, pain into patience, silence into supremacy. Because this is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your ascension. You are calm, you are composed. You are stoic, and the world will never see you the same again.